It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for another review here at PMix Handhelds. And a year ago, I would have told you there's absolutely no way you could get console quality performance out of a sub $100 handheld. But then Mangmi went and released their first ever handheld, the Air X. And I had to eat my own words. So here's the real question. Has Mangmi just disrupted the entire budget handheld market, or am I just seeing what I want to see? Let's find out right after this. Hey fam, Swati Tuk Kung Crap, P-Nick here, and first and foremost, I want to thank you, yes, you, for watching another one of my videos, because I know I'm a small YouTuber, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch one of my videos. That said, if you're new here, I want to make sure you know how my reviews work. I have 7 unique categories, and each one of those categories are rated 0 to 69, with 0 being absolute instant e-waste, or having absolutely no redeeming qualities for that category. And of course, 69 being God tier, where that category or that device will never be able to be beaten for that specific thing. So of course, I've never given away a 69 before, but who knows? It may happen this episode. Let's find out. And those categories are the unboxing experience, the internals, first impressions, ease of use, customizability, controls, and finally value. After that, of course, we'll put it all together and give you your average score for this device. That said, let's get started with the unboxing experience. The device comes in a basic white box with some nice colorization on the typeface. It's made of quality materials, though. The box, you don't have to worry about it being sturdy and falling apart on you at any time. And when you lift the lid, you find a card inside that gives you the specs in English and in simplified Chinese, plus a breakdown of what each button does. That's very thoughtful. Not many companies actually do that. And to top it off, they also throw in a tempered glass screen protector. So kudos to Mangmi for including tempered glass screen protectors, which is something that a lot of other devices have stopped doing, just like your phones. And I appreciate whenever we get something extra to protect our devices. Of course, you have the device inside of its normal usual protective bag, and underneath that you get a USB-C charging cable, which is obviously much appreciated because you can never have too many USB-C cables. And of course, you get fast charging with this since it is with a Snapdragon chip on the inside. And of course, you get a nice manual. It's nothing earth-shattering by any means, but at the same time, it's solid. And full disclosure, because I ordered it early, I received a case as a gift, but I'm not going to include that into consideration because anyone purchasing it today would not get the case as a free part of their order. So I still think it's an above average unboxing experience. It's just not exceptional. So I'm going to give it a 53 out of 69. So now let's talk about the specs. The Mangmi Air X is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 662 processor paired with an Adreno 610 GPU, which should provide you with solid gaming performance for PSP and below on a solid, reliable basis. You're getting 4 gigabytes of LPDDR4X RAM and 64 gigabytes of eMMC storage, which of course, just like any other handheld, is going to be expandable via the included micro SD card slot. The device features a 5.5-inch IPS display with a 1920 by 1080p full HD resolution screen that's capable of 450 nits of peak brightness, and it does give you 110% of sRGB color gamut coverage, making sure that you get very realistic, reliable colors. The battery is a 5,000 milliamp hour capacity with 15 watts of fast charging support, giving you approximately 4 to 8 hours of gameplay, depending on what you're trying to play. And of course, you get Hall Effect analog sticks and Hall Effect linear triggers to make sure that you get a seamless gaming experience with highly reliable analog sticks that won't drift over time and great linear analog feel to your triggers on the back. Of course, you get 6-axis gyroscopic controls for those games that support it, and you get up to Wi-Fi 5, Bluetooth 5.0, and an active single-fan cooling system to prevent thermal throttling. It runs Android 14 out of the box with custom MSpace interface designed for gaming. Now, is it a premium handheld by any means? No, and it's not trying to be, honestly. It's a sub $100 handheld. But that, of course, means that it cannot compete with the likes of the upcoming AYN Odin 3 or my recently released review of the AYN Thor or other premium handhelds in that league. It's definitely above average considering the typical handheld in this price range uses a custom build of Linux rather than giving you full Android, and they would only give you 1 or 2 gigabytes of RAM and a much lower resolution screen. So the Snapdragon 662 is a legitimate step up. I have to give them an above average score for their internals, but a fairly decent score at 51 out of 69. Now, one of the things that you remember most whenever you meet someone is first impression. And it's the same way with a handheld. That's going to be something that sticks with you for a long time. So let's talk about that next. And when you take this device out of its sleeve, you're greeted to a beautiful 5.5-inch IPS display that looks really nice, especially whenever you're first turning it on, as the blacks are actually quite good on it. You get nice ergonomic grips around the back side of it, of course, and the face buttons are a bit glossy, but not in a bad way, and they feel very comfortable to use. Now, you get analog sticks here that are parallel, just like on a PlayStation, which is always my preference. And these are Hall effect sticks, some of the best stick technology you can get on any handheld or any console controller. So I'm glad that they give that to us here. Now, the shoulder buttons are stacked, which is also always my preference. I don't like inline ones where you have them side by side. I like going back and forth, just like on a PlayStation or an Xbox controller. I wish that they had a bit of a texture to them. As you can see here, they're really smooth, but all in all, I can't complain with them. At least they are also Hall effects, so they should not have any issues with dead spots or any sticking issues, as that's some of the best technology you can get. And going back to the analog sticks, you can see that they're inbound a little bit compared to being parallel with the center of the D-pad and the B button. They're actually inset a little bit, and that's always my preference as well. Makes it more comfortable to play compared to a handheld that I reviewed recently a few months ago, the K56, which had it directly parallel. It's much better to have them offset and inset a little bit, just like this. So the first impressions are solid. There are some things they could have made better that would have gotten an even better first impression score, but honestly, this is their first device that they have ever made. So kudos to Mangmi for creating such a great device to start with. I have to give them 49 out of 69 for first impressions. Now, first impressions get you somewhere, but you want to easily be able to use your device to make you want to keep coming back to it. So let's talk about that next. It runs Android out of the box, which is inherently not the easiest OS to use. Now, I know you might be a bit confused because you use Android on your phone and you might be like, Nick, it's pretty easy to use. I get that. The thing is, the Linux-based OSs that this price range usually have is usually custom built with emulators pre-set up for you and usually come with games out of the box. So when you get your ROMs out of the box and you have your emulators already set up, you can turn on your device and play a game within 30 seconds. This is not one of those devices. This will never come with any ROMs, so you always have to provide your own ROMs. And on top of that, you get 2 setup options. One that does include the emulators out of the box, but the thing is with that, if you choose to go that route, if one of the emulators gets an update, you have to physically go to the GitHub page for that emulator or to their website and download the new version. Whereas what you can do, just like I did, you can download the vanilla Android version without any emulators, and then you can download Obtainium and download the proper JSON, and you can download all of your ROMs from there. And then Obtainium acts like the Google Play Store, so it will be checking each one of those GitHub pages and websites to see if there's a new version, and if there is, you can update it directly from Obtainium without needing to load any websites or anything extra after that. That's the way I prefer to do it, just to make sure that everything seems seamless moving forward. But again, that's an extra step and it takes away the ease of use. But once you get the hang of it, I think anyone could get used to it and enjoy it. So it's definitely not easy to use, but it's not hard to use. It's just one of those things that there's a learning curve if you want to get the most out of it. And you do always need to provide your own ROMs with this. Again, whereas some of the devices that use Linux at this price point are automatically including thousands of ROMs as part of the device boot up first experience. So I have to give ease of use an honest understanding of being above average, but not super easy. And I'll place it in the middle of the upper middle range and give it a 47 out of 69. Now let's jump to my favorite category of all time, and that's customizability. And one of the things that I love is that this does include the same analog sticks that are swappable with the Retroid Pocket 5, the AYN Odin 2 Portal, and many other devices. So you can simply just pop them off like this and pop in new ones and you're good to go. You can get transparent ones from Etsy if you want. So if you really want to enjoy the RGB, the clear ones would be the way to go. Or if you want fatter ones like I do, you can grab those. Or if you want narrower analog sticks, you can do that. And I love having that customizability. Now, speaking of the RGB lighting, it's not on a per stick basis like it is on some of the handhelds that I've reviewed, like the AY and Thor, but you still do get a couple of options, and it's nice having the RGB just to give it some personality splash. But at the end of the day, if you don't like RGB, just turn it off. Again, customization, personalization is key. Now, if you get a grip case like I've got, you can get it from AliExpress for about $5. Now, I got the clear one, and I have the retro DMG gray colorway, and then there's a white colorway that I would recommend for this case as well. But if you get the black one, the nice thing is you can get the black one and it comes with a smoky gray case, which would go really well with that, in my opinion. So you get some cases that will really make your device nice. And then if you want to add stickers or anything like that, of course you can, without actually sticking them to your device. Now, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things is you can get a protective case that I got as an early bird. It's no longer included. It's about $10, but you can get it from Mangmi directly. And it's really good quality. I have a 22-month-old son, and Dominic would grab it, and I know that even if my device was inside of it, if he threw it, it would still be protected. So I love that we get a good quality case, not just some little sachet that would not protect it in any way, just cover it from dust, basically. No, this is actually a really good case, and it's something that I would really consider for you. So again, you do get the screen protector out of the box, but you can always order additional screen protectors from Mangmi. And because of that, I'm sure you can also get them from AliExpress as well now. So that's awesome. So for software, you get native Android, so you can really make it your own. With ES-DE, you can set it as the default launcher on your device, which means that when your device boots up, it'll load up directly to ES-DE without you needing to do anything else. And the nice thing is they make it so that it's accessible to all of your Android apps directly from ES-DE. So you don't need to actually exit it. And of course, there are other front ends that you can use, like Beacon. And the nice thing is with Android, you get your choice of standalone emulators, or you can use a front end, back end emulator package like RetroArch with ES-DE that takes care of the back end side of things, giving you a lot of different emulators, and ES-DE making it all pretty for you. ES-DE has so many different themes and sub-themes that you could give ES-DE to 10 different people, show them how to change their theme, and come back in half an hour, and I guarantee you all 10 people would probably have a different theme selected. And the thing is, that's what I love about it, is that everybody can make their device look like something that they really enjoy and they will have fun playing around with. It's not something that's going to look the same for everyone, and I really appreciate that. And if you don't like vanilla Android in its core, you don't have to. One of the things is that because we get the flexibility of the bootloader being open on this as well, you can use other versions like Gamma OS, which you do have to pay for. You have to go to their Patreon page and pay for it, don't get me wrong. But what Gamma OS is, it's still Android, but they strip away all of the unnecessary bits and bobs here that are meant for phones or tablets and make it so it's as performant as possible and as lightweight as possible. So again, something that you can make it your own and make it more powerful than even what Mangmi had intended for it. So is this the most customizable device I have ever reviewed? No, it's definitely not. And is it the least customizable? Oh no way. There is no way this is the least flexible or the least customizable device that I've used of the year. It's still well above average, so I'm going to give it a 57 out of 69. Ultimately, with a handheld, any handheld, you need good quality controls, and the buttons on this device are honestly clicky. If you're someone who loves mechanical keyboards and clicky mice, you're going to love this device. The buttons feel really good when you press them, and even if you don't like the noise, the feel is excellent. The analog sticks have excellent range of motion, as do the analog triggers on the back. It feels very much like a proper handheld should. The face buttons have a good depth and spring to them. The D-pad is solid 4-way, and it feels great when you're using it. I haven't had any accidental diagonals, and even when I play games like Street Fighter and try to pull off the special moves, I'm able to do that. So, great buttons overall. So to me, the controls are good. I just wish they were quieter. So I have to drop them some points from my perspective. But ultimately, think for yourself. If you love the clickiness, you would give it a higher score, and that's okay. From my perspective, I'm going to give it a 52 out of 69. Finally, let's go to value, which is always the most difficult category for me to calculate. When I got this device, I have to admit, I thought I was absolutely no way a device that could cost under $100 could play any game from that secret console. And I have to tell you, one of my subscribers let me know before the last live stream that it was possible to try some lightweight games. So I downloaded Eden emulator to play the secret console games, and I transferred some of its Castlevania basic ROMs, and I loaded it up. I configured the keys I needed to and the firmware, of course, and did all of that you need to with Eden. And I was able to play a classic Castlevania game that was originally on one of its cartridges. So I was getting about 50 frames per second, and that's pretty darn crazy considering how new of a console the secret console really is. Now, if you try anything much more advanced than that, for example, you're going to be quickly disappointed because that'll drop it down into the 20s if you're lucky, probably below that. And forget about anything like Resident Evil 4. You're going to be lucky to get 10 frames per second on that. But the fact that you can get anything is pretty crazy. You can get some lighter weight PS2 games and lighter weight GameCube games working without any issue on this. And especially if you're choosing the PAL region games, as PAL uses less frames per second than the NTSC that North America and Japan uses. You can get some pretty decent PSP playback. I wouldn't say it's 100% by any means, but it's really close to that and it's really good. Since PSP was a natively widescreen console, it makes for a great experience on this since we have a widescreen screen on it. Then, of course, PS1 and below all run seamlessly with the exception of the Saturn. Sega, for some reason, truly made a beast of a device. That's going to cause slowdown on a lot of less powerful devices like this because it had 2 CPUs. So not only is it trying to mimic one CPU at the emulator, but it's trying to mimic 2 CPUs, which is why you have trouble with Sega Saturn emulation on these lower end devices. So for less than $100, you can play a lot of Android games, some secret console games, some limited PS2 and GameCube games, and you can do things below PS1 and on PSP fairly well, other than Sega Saturn. And again, that's because of that. Plus, you get some high quality stereo speakers. Now, are they the best stereo speakers in the world? No, they're downward firing and there's no bass and lacking a little bit, but overall they sound pretty good. And out of the box, you get some pretty good ergonomics. The case that I mentioned for about $5 added extra girth to the ergonomics, which in my opinion is a good thing because I have slightly larger than average hands. But again, it's your preference. Out of the box, it's still pretty good. So I see this device for someone who has the desire to play retro games and Android games with proper controls to jump into the hobby without a large investment. $100 is a fairly reasonable price. They're going to be happy with their purchase, and because of that, and the overall experience is fairly good, I can't wait to see what Mangmi does in their future devices. That said, I have to give the value score a solid 64 out of 69. All right, fam, let's put it together. The unboxing experience was solid with the included screen protector and charging cable, so I gave it a 53. The internals deliver an above average performance with legitimate Snapdragon 662 upgrade over typical budget competition at this price range, so I'm going to give it a 51. First impressions are great with excellent ergonomics and Hall effect sticks and triggers, so I gave it a 49. The ease of use sits in the middle upper range thanks to its optional pre-included emulators, giving it a 47. Customizability shines with swappable sticks, case options, and full Android theming flexibility, so I gave it a 57. Controls are solid, but held back by slightly clicky controls, so I gave them a 52. And the value is exceptional, giving you legitimate console quality performance and game compatibility for under $100, so I gave it a 64. Adding it all together, that gives us a score of 53 overall. This is a solid above average device that punches way above its price point. So what are the top pros and cons of the device? Well, the first would be the Snapdragon 662. Unlike typical sub $100 handhelds with aging all-winter chips, the Snapdragon 662 with its Adreno 610 GPU provide tangible performance improvements that enable up to some lightweight secret console emulation, solid PS2 performance, and lightweight PS2 and GameCube compatibility. This is genuine generational leap in comparison to those all-winner chips. And Hall effect analog sticks at this price point. Full Hall effect analog sticks and triggers eliminate drift concerns entirely while offering console-sized inputs. The fact that Mangmi included this premium component at a sub $100 handheld shows they understand what gamers actually want rather than cutting corners on controls. The included tempered glass screen protector. In an era where premium devices are skipping those extras, Mangmi includes tempered glass out of the box. This shows genuine respect for their customer and removes the immediate need to buy an aftermarket screen protector before they even use the device. And flexible setup options for new players. Because they offer the pre-installed emulators as one option versus offering the vanilla Android, gives players a gentler on-ramp to the hobby if they're not used to Android gaming. It's the right balance between accessibility and flexibility without holding back players. And what would be the top cons of the device? Well, the Android overhead creates some friction. Unlike custom Linux devices that work out of the box, Android requires more initial configurations, even with pre-installed emulators. New players still need to understand ROM sourcing, emulator selection, and launcher configuration, which can overwhelm them if they're completely new to the hobby. And clicky buttons aren't for everyone. The micro switch buttons deliver satisfying tactile feedback, but produce noise that won't work at late night gaming or in shared spaces. If you prefer silent, dampened inputs, you'll be looking for a different device or adapting to the constant clicking sounds. And limited premium build quality. While the ergonomics are solid, the overall build feels functional rather than premium compared to other handhelds. The glossy face buttons and smooth shoulder buttons lack a little tactile refinement that you're getting on devices that are slightly more expensive. And finally, speaker placement compromises. The audio is bottom firing rather than forward firing, which means that they're not immersing you fully into the game, which significantly reduces the impact of the device's decent stereo setup. Top-facing speakers would have made a real difference to the immersion factor without adding additional cost. So who should consider this device? Well, budget-conscious Brenda. You might be a budget-conscious Brenda if you want to jump into the retro gaming scene without dropping serious money but refuse to sacrifice performance or control quality. You already have Android games you love, and you want a device that plays them alongside your ROM collection without breaking the bank. The Air X is the perfect entry point for you. And Handheld Curious Henry. You might be a Handheld Curious Henry if you've been eyeing handhelds for months, but you weren't sure if you'd actually use one enough to justify $150 or more. You're hesitant about the commitment, but curious about the experience. The Air X lets you test the waters at a genuinely affordable price with zero regret if you change your mind. And who should skip it? Well, Linux lover Larry. You might be a Linux lover Larry if you absolutely demand a custom-build Linux experience with zero Android overhead and zero setup requirement out of the box. You want a plug-and-play retro gaming experience without any OS learning curve. Budget Linux devices like those from Trim UI still serve you better than this Android-based approach. And Premium Performance Pete. You might be a Premium Performance Pete if you want the most powerful budget device that can handle demanding PS2 games, GameCube games, and even some of those from the secret console. You need to spend a bit more for the power you are chasing. So circling back to the question I asked at the beginning, has Mangmi just disrupted the entire budget handheld market, or am I just seeing what I want to see? After extensive testing over the last 2 weeks, I genuinely believe Mangmi has disrupted the market, not in a revolutionary way, but in a meaningful way that changes the calculus for budget buyers. For the first time in years, you have a legitimate reason to choose an Android handheld in the sub $100 range. The Snapdragon 662 isn't going to play everything, but it plays enough that people are genuinely happy with their purchase, and that matters. Is it perfect? No. The buttons are loud, the speakers face down, and the software requires more setup than a Linux alternative. But at under $100, this is genuinely one of the best values in the handheld market right now. If you've been curious about handhelds but hesitant about the investment, the Air X removes that barrier, and it's more than powerful enough to get you started. I can't wait to see what Mangmi does in their next device because they've already proven they understand what budget gamers want: real performance, Hall effect controls, and honest value. They've nailed it on their first try. If this review resonated with you in any way, please drop a like and let me know down in the comments, has the Mangmi Air X been calling your name? And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Hit that subscribe button and enable notifications so you don't miss next Monday's or Friday's videos. And maybe you can join me on a Wednesday live stream. Your support means everything to this channel. And until next time, this has been P. Nick. Extremely excited to announce the PNix Handhelds official worldwide giveaways. Now, each giveaway will happen at predetermined benchmarks. What are those benchmarks, you may ask? Well, the first one will be to have 100 YouTube channel subscribers. After that, the second benchmark will be to have 500 YouTube channel subscribers. And the third benchmark will be when we reach 1,000 YouTube channel subscribers. And then the fourth benchmark and all subsequent benchmarks thereafter will be when we receive 1,000 more subscribers than the previous benchmark. So again, think 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and so on subscribers. Now, to qualify for the giveaway, you must A, be subscribed to the PNix Handhelds YouTube channel, of course. The second qualification would be that you would need to register on pnix-handhelds.com. And the third qualification will be that you send me a private message on the website to let me know your username on YouTube. This is simply because YouTube will not allow me to have direct private communication with my subscribers, and this will just facilitate that much easier for us. After each benchmark has been met, I will randomly select a YouTube subscriber and reply to their private message from the website. The gifts will include a branded coffee mug, t-shirt, or desk mat, or other options may become available in the future. Subscribers are eligible to win a gift once every 3 months or every 3 gifts, whichever happens first.